of it all, untouchable, a new animal. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jeremy LaRose. Welcome to our all-star video of the Patreon page. Thank you so much for tuning in here, guys. Without you guys, wouldn't be able to do this. We appreciate you as our all-star patrons so much. So thank you for that. In this video, we're going to be going over speed control. So we want to take a look at how we got Peanut to this stage from where we were in the, say, beginning of October. It's always amazing to me how much they can change in 2.5 months when that light bulb just clicks. So up until this point, it's kind of felt like we were just running around. So if you remember what we looked like back in October, it was kind of a mess. We were going along, we were running around, kind of just flopping all over the place. She was pushing on my hands and just kind of generally being naughty, right? But remember that this is a process. And at the very end of the process is when our horse starts to go slow and look like the show horse that you're all used to seeing. So it's so important to remember that when you're training on these horses, that going slow is the end product of all the work you've put in up to this point. It's not about trying to go slow in the beginning. In the beginning, all we're doing is teaching this horse foot control to where we can shape her body so that we can address, push, and lean, and then getting her up and lifted and rocked back onto her back end so that she can get strong enough to hold her shoulders up on her own. And then if she gets all of that right, then she'll be able to go slow. And that's something that is probably the most common theme that we see when we go to give clinics all over the country is people want to go slow so quickly, right? That they just can't wait to go slow. They want their horse to make it to the show pen and they get focused on that. And it becomes like this weird obsession with like, it's not going slow and it doesn't have its head down. And that's okay, right? When they go slow, it's because we've got them strong and we've got them balanced and we've got our buttons the right way. So your main focus, your primary focus through this whole thing needs to be on, can I shape this horse up on my spurs without holding it back in my hands? If I can't put my feet on and have my horse not surge forward, I'm going to be in trouble. And I think that video from December 9th really was the turning point in this horse's career. It was kind of the day that the light bulb just clicked in her head and she decided, oh, I can go slow now. And that's what we're looking for. So now it's so easy to teach her from here how we go slow. So this was the ride right here, December 9th, that I really felt like she changed a ton. So what we're doing here is I'm in a set of draws. This is a thin twist, I think, in a draws. And I'm working on my jog. And more specifically, I'm working on keeping the same pace here, whether I have my hands up or have my hands down. And I'm really going to give her a chance to practice a ton today. To go out there and do tons of these squares and just do lap after lap after lap and just see where it takes you. See where your horse turns into. See what she becomes at the end of it is something that every horse has to go through. So this is kind of the chance that I gave her to say, all right, we're not going to do a lot of stopping. You're just going to figure it out. And when you figure it out, we'll stop. So that was kind of my mentality going into this. I said, okay, I'm going to work on squares. Today we're going to do a box. I'm going to pick up around my corners right here. I'm going to put my feet on. I'm going to set you down on the straightaways. You get to do whatever you want. And then at the end of this corner, I'm going to pick you back up, roll you back over your hips, and we're going to do it again. A couple big things to keep in mind here. I want my horse to keep jogging in the pace and the step that she's got, regardless whether I have a hold of my hands or don't. So when I pick my hands up, you see I'm just going to pick up real soft, shuffle my hands, bring that chin into her body, and then expect her legs to stay the same. I want to stay in if she doesn't. If she changes with her legs, I'm just going to stay in, keep shuffling. If she picks up and she stays square and she stays underneath of me, then I'll set her back down and try again. The next piece that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my spurs and squeeze both spurs up into her. When I squeeze both spurs, I want that back end to step up to me. I want to be able to do that and not change the rhythm of my front feet. So what that means is this is kind of testing out, does my horse want to go forward when I squeeze my spurs? If I put both my spurs in and her front end leaves or her head and neck comes up, I know I've got a problem that's going to show up when I go to lope. So the biggest thing here is I'm just letting my horse get her repetition in, get her practice in, and carry me around. So I'm looking for a showable jog here that I can show and ride off of my feet. So can I squeeze my spurs up into her and not get a big change in her face? See how I squeeze my spurs and she kind of jerks her nose around? This horse has always been kind of challenging in her face because she wants to flip her nose all the time, and that's why we're in those draws. So I want to be able to take my feet, squeeze them up into her sides here. You see me just ride along. I'm not rolling my spurs. I'm not digging my feet. I'm just squeezing until I feel her come up to me, and then I drop out. This is a skill that we work on with our riders, trying to get you guys to be able to follow your horse's belly as it jogs around. Remember, this jog's got an up and down to it. So I've got to be able to follow, instead of dropping off with my feet, follow that up and down rhythm of her belly and just squeeze and stay consistent. Notice how I'm not going to rub, I'm not going to roll, I'm not going to dig my feet. I'm just going to squeeze. The second I feel her give me a good response, which is lift her belly or step up with her back legs and stay good with her front end, then I'm going to release. I'm not trying to stay in here for a ton of strides. I'm not trying to make her jog be incredible. I just want to know that she can step up to me when I squeeze my spurs. So I know that if the button works, then I can go back to it a ton and refine it and go to it and trust it when I'm showing. I want to take another look at this transition because I think it was really important, and the lope afterwards was terrible. So I'm going to come in here, shuffle my hands, ask her to be really soft in her face, and then I'm going to squeeze both those spurs up into her. I'm going to apply just a little bit more pressure on the outside spur to push her hip over, and I'm going to let her come up to me. See how I'm not spurring, I'm not rolling, I'm just bringing both spurs in. The cool part about that, you see those hind legs step into motion first, right from that get-go. So she's already thinking about, I've got to step up with the back end. You see that back end step forward to her lope first. That's what we're looking for. I don't want her to pop up in her shoulders and up in her neck to make that lope off. It doesn't need to start with her front end. And that was an important piece in our last video where we talked about transitions. So this lope off, if you've heard us say it before, it's got to start from the back end. I do not want her front legs to pop up, and I think this is an important thing. I want to point it out again and show you guys how I bring my spurs in. You see those hind legs, specifically her outside hind steps up into the air first. That's exactly what I want when I go to lope off. I'm squeezing my spurs here. You're going to see her outside hind step up into that lope off, right there. That's what we're looking for. It's not her front legs that step into the lope. So that lope needs to start from the back. If it doesn't start from the back, it's not going to get there somewhere down the line after you've loped for 10 strides. So like I said, once we got loping, the wheels really came off this thing. So we're loping along here, and she just was way too fresh to do exactly what I wanted her to do, which was cool. Like, I like this feeling. She's really balled up right here. She wants to buck really bad, and I'm just kind of staying above water here. The important part about this is not what I pictured happening when I went to lope. But what we've got to do is stay committed to the maneuver. So I said, you know what? We're going to do squares today. So I'm going to stay committed to it. I'm going to keep doing these squares. We can do it whatever pace she wants. There's a little buck. So we can do it at whatever pace she wants. If she wants to go fast, I'm going to own it. I'm going to make it my idea. So I know this horse is smart enough that she'll figure it out down the road, that going slower is going to be easier than going fast. Because if you want to go fast, boy, let's go somewhere. So by pushing her on, by making this my idea, I've now made going fast a lot more work than I was originally asking her to do. So I'm trying to feel for her rocking back and coming back to me here. When she wants to do that, I'm going to let her. Until that happens, boy, we're just going to push up. We're going to work hard. So we're going to work both directions here. Going to come back to the right, turn around. Let's keep her rocked into this, lope up into this, and I'm going to push her right out immediately. So from here on out, the cool part about training this horse is I'm going to push her on anytime she wants to go fast. So if I lope her off and I feel like she wants to go somewhere, then I'm going to ball her up, and I'm going to ask her to work at that bigger pace. So the cool part about this is I'm not asking her just to go fast. I'm asking her to lift up into the air and work hard anytime she wants to go somewhere. So if she doesn't want to hold the ground, then I'm going to push her on. This went on for the greater part of 15-20 minutes before I came back to my lope and my square and tried it again. Now this started out pretty ugly. The big thing about this square is you've got to just stay committed to it for a period of time. The big part is if you will commit to it and you'll spend 10 minutes on this square, which is a long time if you're loping around and actually like set a watch, your horse will settle in and they'll start to relax. So that's what I was looking for here, is I really wanted this horse just to relax, get comfortable on this maneuver, and just settle into this. So I feel a lot of tension in her here. I feel a lot of quickness, some of that just because she's fresh, but some of that because she's not paying attention or she's not comfortable with what I'm asking her to do. As she gets more comfortable, she's going to slow down and she's going to start holding the ground and start thinking about, what do I have to do here to stop loping? So remember that she started out wanting to go really fast, and I said, let's go somewhere. So we galloped, and now we're onto this square. So she's been loping for probably 10-15 minutes straight here. I'm not giving her a break. I'm giving her a chance to figure it out on her own. If you want to start fast, this is not going to be an easy ride for you. And that's been one of the most challenging things with Peanut, is that she never really wanted to suck back and go slow. Like Marley from day one has always wanted to go slow. Peanut's always had a big engine. She's always wanted to go places. She's always had a ton of power behind. It's a good thing because we don't have to make her step up behind, but it has been challenging to teach her to slow her rhythm down and sit on her legs. So this is probably the day that it changed, the day that her mindset changed, and the day that we were able to start pushing her out whenever she wanted to go fast and have meaning to her so that she would figure out to go slow in the end. So we're going along here, still on my square, still trying to set her up and just go to my hands around those corners, shuffle up, rock her onto her back end, set her down on the straightaway. I'm trying to find what pace she's comfortable with going straight. If I set her down and go straight and she wants to rush away, we're going to speed back up. I really want her to find whatever pace she's comfortable at and that rhythm to stay the same once I go straight and set her down. Now, the reason why I can work on this now is because I've taken out the push and lean left to right. She stays pretty straight on the line that I asked her to go on here. So in this direct maneuver, when we're doing this square, I'm working on her balance front to back. I'm going to reset her onto her back end around the corners. I'm going to set her down and see if she holds her shoulders up on the straight. So once I have a horse that stays between my feet, so I got both my spurs on here, she's not shoving too far one way or the other, she's not over canting, she's not under canting. Now I start working on, let's bring your chin in here, let's rock onto our back end, and let's stand up. The cool part about this, if you go back into the 10-minute mark and watch this, she started to slow down a ton on her back end as she starts to, physically just get tired, but as she starts to figure out what it is she's supposed to do. So she's going along here, rocking onto her back end, and starts to really hold the ground. That's what I'm looking for, and that's kind of my cue to stop and give her a break. So once she'll set on her back end and hold the ground behind instead of bounce off of it like she was doing before, then I'm satisfied and I'm going to give her a break. So when we work this other direction, we're going to shuffle our hands up, doing the same exact thing. The benefit that I have now to the right that I didn't have to the left is she's a lot more tired. So literally, we spend 15-20 minutes teaching new things to our horse, and the rest of the time is spent just getting the fresh off of them and getting them toned and muscled up. So if you think about that with your ride, where I'm only going to teach her for 15-20 minutes and the rest of my time is going to be spent just getting her strong, then your ride really changes, and the focus of your ride really changes. You want the intensity level to be a little bit of a roller coaster, where you get high intense parts of your workout, and then you get low periods where she can kind of catch her breath, and then high intense periods, and then low periods, and then a high intense period, and then be done. So we went on for another probably 6 minutes here. of just loping around, shuffling our hands, and asking her to keep the same pace underneath. So the big part about shuffling my hands here, I'm going to pop my elbows out so I'm not holding her back with my arms. If I don't pop my elbows out, I'm too tempted to pull her back and hold her back when I'm loping around here. I want to make sure that her shoulders are holding themselves up. So I'm going to shuffle my hands out wide. Popping my elbows out like that, if you kind of chicken wing it, lets you move your wrists really fast, and it ensures that you're not pulling out of your shoulders and your elbows. So kind of a subtle thing, but makes a huge difference in your horse when you don't try to hold them back. You'd be surprised, some of your horses at home, if you pop your elbows out like that and try to shuffle the bit, how they'll just kind of run away on you. If that's the case, when you pop your elbows out and you squeeze both your spurs at your lope, and they want to run away, you know you've got a problem on your feet where they're used to you holding them back whenever you go to your spurs. If they're used to you holding them back whenever you go to your spurs, they're relying on your hands and the reins and the bit to keep them going slow. And that's a horse that you'll never be able to set your hands down, and you'll never get to the show pen with any sort of confidence that your horse is not going to run away given an opportunity. So that's it for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for being here, being a part of this. Some of you guys have been there with us from the very beginning when we were doing live videos on Facebook, and it's just been an incredible ride. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys so much. Use those squares, get your horse rocked back onto its back end. If it wants to go fast, push it on, let it go fast until it wants to come back to you. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great week. I will see you in the next video.